All right, so the first one I'm going to go ahead and just quickly go over real quick is the UPS SD70ACE Tier 4. This is the only railroad, Class 1 railroad, that owns SD70ACE Tier 4s, but not operates them. So they own and operate them, but there is one other railway that I don't know if you would consider them a Class 1, but we'll get into them later. But the UPS SD70ACE Tier 4s, not a lot has changed other than the model. Most of these engines, the only thing that has changed is the model got a complete update. Changed some things around, and we fixed a couple of quirks on them. Now, a lot of things that is kind of controversial with these engines, or may be controversial, I don't know how people feel about this, but we wanted to add it just for a little bit more simplicity, is the new cab. So let me go ahead and make this clear that these cabs are not custom cabs. They do not supposed to be actual SD70ACE Tier 4 cabs. They're just a placeholder cab, so something you can just get in, operate, and it doesn't feel like the DD840X normal cab, because that's what the old models originally had, was the DD840X cab. Actually, let me clear that up a little bit. These cabs still feel like the DD840X cab, but they're just, it feels a little bit different. It feels like you're not actually in the DD840X. It feels like you're kind of in a different locomotive. And that's what we were going for. We weren't going to make a complete custom cab from the ground up like RMI's, JR, or any other body that does, custom cabs from the ground up. So all we did was just modify the DD840X cab, added some changes onto it, and boom, we got this cab. So you can still get inside this engine, operate it, do whatever. Not a lot has changed when it comes to the cab. It's just a little bit different. That's it. You still can look out the back window. You can see we're in the UPS D70ACE Tier 4, and well, behind us you can see the UPS D70ACE Tier 4. So yeah, so you can just get in. It's nothing serious per se, but it's just a little tweak that we wanted to add. So if you're operating these locomotives over a decent distance, you could get in and operate it and make it feel like you're in something that's not a DD840X, if you get what I'm saying. So yeah, that's all we did, and that goes for all of these. All of these have the same thing, the custom cab from the back. You can look out the back window, it's going to be in the same paint scheme as the locomotive you are driving. So yeah, but let me go ahead and say these are not complete custom cabs. They are not supposed to be complete custom cabs. These cabs are just placeholders that you can get in and operate in, and just BS and have fun with. Nothing serious per se. All right, getting straight into our progress rail demonstrators. So for the most part, these are still the same, but we did add one more that happened since the original SD70ACE Tier 4 pack drop, and that is the CSX, well, the ex-CSX PRLX SD70ACE Tier 4 that Faramex is leasing at the current time. As you remember, I was talking about how UP is not the only operator, Class 1 operator of the SD70ACE Tier 4. The other railroad was Faramex, since they are currently operating them in Mexico right now. And they are utilizing the ex-Norfolk Southern ones, which are, of course, with the cab light and are in black. The, as they call them, the bananas in the yellow paint, and the ex-CSX ones on the farthest right, as you can tell right here. So nothing really different with these models as well. They're still the same old, as you can see. The model just got a bit better, in my opinion, way better. It just looks a little bit better. It sticks out a little bit more, and it feels a little bit more sharp. Now with these, the PRLX ex-CSX Tier 4 Aces, we added the rock grates on them, since most of Faramex's locomotives that they operate have rock grates on them, and you can see these don't have them on it. But if we go back over here to these actually have them on there. So, and when you get inside of the cab of these engines that have the rock grates, they, when you get in the cab, they actually have the rock grates on them in the cab view. So yeah, nothing crazy. These are the models that probably stick out the most, in my opinion, is the ones with the rock grates, the Faramex leasers. So yeah, so nothing really has changed with those, just a couple of edits, and we added a couple things here and there, and that's about it. So moving on from here, I'm gonna quickly go over the rest of these really quick, since there's not really a lot to explain. We have the CSX ones, which same thing. All of the, I'm not gonna state that every single model had a model upgrade, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it now. Every single one of these models had a model upgrade, so they're gonna stick out a little bit more. They have a little bit of a shine to them, and they just feel more sharp. So that's the only thing that's changed with CSX one. But the biggest change that happened was the color of the blue. we got the blue right since the last one, the blue was not completely accurate, and we wanted to make sure that on this one that we got the blue completely right. And so that's what we did. The blue is now right on these. Moving on from the CSX, we have the electromotive demonstrator units, some of the first tier 4 ACEs ever made. So the 1502, 1503, the 1501 and 1500 is somewhere else on here. This is probably 1501. I don't know where the 1500 is, but the 1500 is somewhere on here. We got these as well. We got the UP painted demonstrators. And I don't know if I went on ahead and already stated this, but we got the BNSF ones. I believe BNSF, same as almost all class ones, ordered these locomotives and they tested them on their railway and they weren't happy with the performance, so they stayed as demonstrators. I don't know their current place in time or where they're at right now. For anything, they could be these now. I'm not completely for sure, but yeah. So same thing with these over here, just same old demonstrators. But quickly, I'm gonna get into the fantasy schemes of the tier 4 ACEs that we did add and some of the revisions we made on the old ones that we already had out. All right, moving straight into the fantasy schemes of the tier 4 ACEs, other than the 1501 that is not supposed to be here because I very dumbly added it here. Excuse me on that. We have CN, we have KCS Bale Paint, KCS Gray, BNSF H3, NS Horsehead, the Fairmix Zebra, Grupo Mexico, Zebra Paint, whatever you want to call it, the SD90 Mac Electromotive Demonstrator Paint, CPKC, and as well as Canadian Pacific. Starting off with the Canadian National one, the biggest difference with the Canadian National one we made difference between the one that we originally released is that the original one had a marker light or a DPU light right here, and instead of the DPU light being right here, we decided to add markers to it instead. And the markers are completely functional. You can use them. It's very simple. All you do is hold Control right click, then press view details, and then you can scroll down. You'll see marker lights right here, and you can change it to, you know, off, front, so it'll turn on your front marker lights. And then when you go to the back, you can just click to back rear, and your rear marker lights will come on, or you can do both, and both of the marker lights will stay on for as long as you want. That's the only change we made with the CN one. And the reason we did the marker lights instead of the DPU light is because of the new SD70ACE-Ts that CN has been receiving. Instead of them having DPU lights, they have marker lights. So we kind of favored those, and we kind of thought that it'd look a little bit better and stand out a little bit more. So instead of the DPU light, we went on ahead and added the marker lights just so it could stand out a little bit more. And voila, this is what came out. So personally, I think I like the marker lights a little bit better. Well, actually way better, as just a personal preference. Moving on to the KCS ones, we have KCS Gray and KCS Bale. Now, I believe actually out of all the railroads, I don't think KCS ever had an interest in buying these. Well, excuse me, that's not completely true, because KCS actually has some in what's it called? They were releasing the NS painted ones and the banana painted PRLX ones at one point back in the early 2020s or something like that. I don't completely remember. But we went ahead and did these in the Bale paint scheme and the Gray Ghost. The Gray Ghost is a complete fictional. Like, this paint scheme probably would have never been on the tier 4 ACE, even if it was possible. But we just did it just for the joke, just for the fun of it. And personally, I think it came out really well. We have the BNSF ones. So this is basically what the BNSF ones would have looked like if they completed the order and still kept the order and then it canceled it last minute. Or if they liked the demonstrators that they were leasing at one point. So we went ahead and did the BNSF ones. The NS ones, as I said, NS had a order for these at one point, and they got to the point where the engines were already made, but NS had canceled the order as the engines, I believe, were being painted. So instead of getting these, we end up getting the black Progress Rail painted ones with the cab lights. Moving on, we got the Fairmix ones. Now, this is kind of, if Fairmix does go through with buying the leasers that they're leasing right now, then they will look something like this. Now, we went on ahead and did the cab light because, most of them that they are leasing, I believe, are the XNS ones. So we went on ahead and did the cab light. We will possibly think of adding the nose light ones down the road. but that's just, you know, down the road for what we have for right now. The SD90 Mac painted one, as I said, with the Gray Ghost one, is completely fictional, something that would have never happened. But the reason we did it is just, as a lot of people don't know, the SD70ACE Tier 4s are based on the SD90 Mac H's, I believe, or they're built off the SD90 Mac H's, something like that. So we just thought, we saw the comparison, excuse me, not the comparisons, but the similarities in the two, and we just said, you know, it'd be probably pretty cool to add this as just a little fantasy thing. So this you can get in the fantasy pack as well. Then we have the CPKC painted ones, and as well as the Canadian Pacific painted ones. These have CPRS reporting marks since in, I believe, May or sometime over the summer. CPKC is supposed to be switching their reporting mark over to CPRS. I believe it stands for CP Rail System. So we went ahead and added that to this last minute, and overall I think the model looks very well. And then we have the Canadian Pacific painted one in the Beaver paint scheme, and you can honestly, I actually like this better than the CPKC ones. I really wish Canadian Pacific would have had to order some, but unfortunately they didn't. So yeah, that's basically about it. I don't know if I covered, yeah, I've already covered all over the PRLX, the XTSX ones. Oh, excuse me, one more fictional paint scheme that we added last minute. And personally, this is my favorite out of all of them, other than the Ferromix ones. And I honestly feel like this one is a viable option. I feel like it could be something that could happen over the next couple years. And that is the flagless UP ones, even though they have the flag right here. But I call them the flagless ones. But the flagless Little Rock paint scheme, since recently UP has been repainting a lot of the Chivos, Aces, 70Ms, AC44s into a scheme without the flag. So we went ahead and just, you know, knocked that one out really quick. And personally, I think this is my favorite one. But yeah, overall, that's the complete pack that we got out to you guys now. Y'all can check all these out on the Flame Bros website. I'll leave the description, excuse me, not description, the website link in the description down below. And also, I did not include this one on here, but we also now have a reskin pack that you can purchase and, you know, reskin your own fictional railway if you would consider, if you would like, whatever. So you can go and purchase the reskin pack, which is you get a completely blanked out locomotive that you can get reskin, add your own paint scheme, do this, whatever. You can do whatever you want with it. Since we know that the trains community is a very creative community, a lot of people want to do their own things. A lot of people want to create their own packs, their own engines, their own fictional liveries. You know, you get what I'm saying. So that's why we went ahead and added that to it last minute. But overall, that is the new SD70ACE Tier 4 pack, and y'all can check these out on the Flame Bros website. Anyways, I'll talk to y'all in the next one, and y'all be safe out there, and I love y'all guys. Talk to y'all.